Hi there. May we speak for a minute? So, I was thinking about something. I get a chance as a life insurance broker to meet many amazing people, many of whom don't know me. And yet and still they feel comfortable enough telling me a lot of deep things about themselves and their families and friends. But here's one thing that I've noticed. When it comes to financial information, many people freeze up because our finances oftentimes cause people to make judgments about us. So let me say this. I'm not in anyone's financial business to judge them. I could tell them some stories about things that I've been through financially that would probably knock them for a loop. And a lot of what I've learned has been through personal experiences. But when it comes to being a life insurance broker, I'm licensed. In order to be licensed, I have to pass a background check. When was the last time you questioned when you went out to eat, just handing your credit card to someone whom you didn't know and didn't know whether they had passed the background check? They probably weren't licensed. When you spoke with that internet provider, did you worry about that then? And I'm saying that because we sometimes have these ideas built up and we don't even know where they came from. And they kind of keep us back. So let me explain though why we're doing what we're doing when we're asking you so many financial questions and we're asking you for even your social security number. Well, when it comes to the financial inventory that we do, we have to make sure that we are giving you the best product for your financial situation. So for example, let's say that someone had just bought a home. And let's say that that mortgage was $300,000. Maybe they didn't have many other debts, because when you're buying a home, they want everything else to be to a minimum, right? But maybe I don't ask that question. And so they tell me they just want a $25,000 policy. And I go ahead and just go by what they said. And then a month later they pass and they have the $25,000, but they had a $300,000 mortgage. And maybe they were the breadwinner. Well, what is that other person who may be in the home with them gonna do? That could be a very bad problem, right? And it could have all been solved at the point of me asking a simple question. Well, likewise, I also need to ask questions so that I can make sure that you're not getting a policy that you can't afford. Many times, people want policies, but depending on what you want and other risk factors, they could be a little bit more than what you're able to afford. Now, most of the time, people miscalculate how much policies are going to cost, but that doesn't mean that there aren't times when policies are too expensive for a particular person given their circumstances. If I don't ask you what's going on with you, I could set you up with a policy that you ultimately can't pay for. And God forbid you make the first payment and then it gets beyond that free look period, which typically goes up to 30 days. And then after that, you lose your money if you cancel, right? Or if it lapses for some reason. Well, I should have asked you what you could have afforded. And even if you didn't know, asking you what your income is. I definitely want to look at your overall salary. And I don't want to take more than 8% of that per year. Okay? For your life insurance policy. Regardless of what you may need, I don't want to take more than that, typically, okay? So I need to ask those financial questions, and that is me doing my fiduciary responsibility. Now, when it comes to how we pay for our policies, let me first say that we're going to more than likely ask you for your banking account and routing numbers. Number one, life insurance carriers are not going to allow you to pay by credit card. They may allow you to do the first payment, and then the monthly payments Can't do them by credit card. Now, some carriers will allow you to pay by debit card, but let me tell you the risk with any kind of card. They expire. Now, even when we get the new cards and the new numbers sometimes, or the new cards, even if the regular card number is still there, they still have to have the updated expiration date and even that CVV code. So if you haven't updated that and you're not reading your emails where the carrier is telling you that the payment method has failed, then your policy is going to lapse. And then you're going to be without a policy. You may not even know it. And then if something happens to you, your family's going to hear from the carrier, yeah, they had a policy, but it lapsed. We're so sorry. When it comes to your credit cards, think in this way, and this may come from my knowledge of, also having a financial services company that deals heavily with credit. Depending on what's going on with your financial situation, especially if you've had a lot of usage, okay? If you have used up to almost the limits on your credit cards, that information is going to be housed in the information that goes on your credit file. And it's going to get back to creditors. And creditors can and will lower the available credit on the card that you have with them, even if you're not necessarily over the limit or what have you with them. They don't have to give you a whole lot of warning, okay? And so you could run the risk of a payment being denied simply because of something like that, even though the card hasn't expired. Well, that could also cause your policy to lapse. So we try to have you use your banking, routing, and account numbers, because typically people keep their banking for years. And even if they do change banks, they kind of know to do the process of updating with the entities that they have used that account with. So that's why we need that information. But let's talk about your social security number. Just like you want to know that I'm who I say I am, well, guess what? I and the carrier want to know that you are who you say you are. So that social security number helps also to identify who you are. And you know what? It helps to tell a story that sometimes people forget to tell about their medical history, or sometimes try to hide. So once you give us that social security number, I'm not going to get your medical information necessarily. Now, sometimes a carrier will come back and say, this person is on such and such. Can you ask them a little bit more about that? But hopefully you don't mind that, because I'm not going to tell your information, right? That wouldn't even be proper. But they have to know that they are giving you a policy that is going to work for you. But they also want to know that they're not taking on more risk than they are willing to take on. So everybody's covered in that regard. So if you are willing to let a broker, agent, what have you, in your home, whether it is coming through the door face to face or even remotely, as I do, via a Zoom call. Sometimes people even just want to keep it to telephone. But if you're allowing me in your personal space, even with that, then don't hesitate to give me the other things that I need, because those are the things that will truly help me do my job with you. Do you know I can't even put a policy application in without those things? So we may have talked for a long time, have gone through other necessary steps, and then all of a sudden, I can't do anything for you because you don't want to give that information. Whether you give it to me or someone else, you're going to have to give it if you want life insurance. I hope you learned something with that. And please, I want to hear from you. If you need help with life insurance, contact me. Let's talk again soon.